speaking of Catch, you started in New York, 2011.
Yeah.
What was it
Well,
about?
yes, 2011. Wow.
Was it 2011?
For Catch, yes. We
Yeah.
started our business earlier than that, but I think Catch was, 2011.
Where did you start with the business before opening Catch? Was it also restaurants?
No, Eugene and I joined forces to open 10 June, which is our shared birthday, June 10th, which is why we call it the 10 June. And that was in like 06 or so, maybe 07, 06,
Nice.
something like that. I think we formed M Group, Eugene Mark Group, EM, in 05 or something like that. But it was nightlife based. I mean, we were partners in that SDK group in the beginning, and that kind of gave us our first entree, if you will, into
Nice.
into restaurants. But it was great. It was, I mean, every experience you have, I guess, in business, you don't know where it will lead you to, obviously. And the beauty of that tiny partnership with SDK in the beginning, we were really there from the moment of creation and saw what it took to sort of start a restaurant and eventually build a brand. And, people toss around that word brand very often, but, you really need like 10 years to call yourself a brand, I think. And then the 10 years of our journey kind of led us to where we are, today. But we've always said we are our demographic, right? So like when we started, we are our demographic. We relate to the people that are our customers because we are them, right? So at that time we were, 27, 28, and we were into going to nightclubs more so than restaurants. And our customer base was the same. So our customer base was maybe several years younger than us, several years older than us, but we sort of stayed in that window and we grew with them. So as we got older, our taste changed, whether it was less nightlife, more restaurant, what type of restaurant, maybe more rah-rah restaurant than a little bit more civilized restaurant, but still with fun. So like as we get older, our clientele grew with us. So it's not like a 45-year-old guy saying the same sentence, which I see some do till today. Meet me at the club, meet me at the concert, meet me at the after party, meet me at the thing. And I'm like, who are these people that want to do that? That I don't know those people anymore. So it makes it easier to say, come to the restaurant, get a phone call about going to eat at 7, or 7:30 or 8, not 10:30. That was the old kind of time to eat, 10 o'clock.
And that's really interesting to me as well, because it'd be like super crazy to think of like coming out of the gate, first try, Catch New York, boom, like transform the meatpacking district, make it one of the most sought after neighborhoods in the city. It like makes sense that you guys really kind of, like you said, like nurtured your brand for years and then kind of came in and just knocked it out of the park with Catch New York.
Yeah, we started SDK 10 June, and then eventually we did our own restaurant, Eugene and I, called Abe and Arthur's, with a club in the basement, SL, which was sort of our thing, was the one-stop shop of restaurant on, say, the ground floor and the second floor, and then a nightclub of some sort in the basement, so that, you would go to the restaurant and then after dinner, instead of leaving the building and going to a cab and figuring out the next thing, we're a big group place, meaning groups of 10, groups of 12 going for a big birthday dinner. It's nice to be able to just say, all right, now I'm going to take you down the back staircase, your table's set, everything is all set up for you and it's seamless, which is, really convenient for most people, especially in the winter or whatever. And it just was a great place to have a dinner and a club and you're done. And you didn't have to worry about anything. And we had, a lot of people working within our organization that sort of helped curate that seamless experience. So our version of hospitality was sort of a 8 o'clock to 4 in the morning, or a 7 o'clock to 2 in the morning, or maybe just a dinner, or maybe just the club. But we had a large, 12-hour sort of span of business versus people just having dinner and then leaving to a nightclub. And what always drove us crazy is no different from the casino business, where, if you have a big gambler, there's a tremendous amount of things that those casinos and hotels do to make you stay, right? Whether it's free room, the big show, the nightclub, the great restaurants, all that stuff is really just designed to keep you in the building spending money. For us, the idea of, spending, was it $100 a head on food getting up 10 people, it's $1,000 plus tip or whatever. Maybe you were a big spender, you spend $1,500 on a dinner, and then you go 2 blocks away and spend 10 grand on a table. You want to kill yourself, right? I've done all this work to get this group of people in our building. So the idea to let them leave just because we didn't have the offering that they were looking for never made sense to me. So Eugene and I really lived both, right? Make sure a good restaurant, make sure a good club, which eventually became our mantra, which is the 3 things that we live by, which is great food, great service, and great vibe.
I like that.
Very hard to do all 3. So we figured out over the years of growth to get to Catch finally, which was, our 3rd round of doing a restaurant, to understand what it meant to have great food, great service, and great vibe. A lot of our competition did great vibe, fun restaurant, not so much good service or good food, but fun. Usually not so long lasting. And there's other people that do great food and great service, but generally sort of a boring vibe. Call that your Michelin star restaurant. Nothing wrong with it, but it's just, they're generally smaller. And when you're in the mood for that, sure. But we were trying to find the middle ground of like a large restaurant to pull off, 400 seats to deliver on the great food first and then the great service and still have the great vibe, which for us, I think that's what is our differentiator in the world of restaurants with some fun.
Yeah, and obviously, I wasn't intending to diminish anything you did before Catch. It was just more of a
no,
coming out the gate with that. But
you can't get to Catch without the life that we led before Catch, and frankly, we can't get to where we are 10 years later of Catch, even though we still call our business Catch Hospitality Group and Catch is our focus. You need all of that history of experience in life. Mistakes, especially failures, whatever, to kind of hopefully get your next project or your next projects better than the last one.
And shout out to Eugene Rem, your partner and co-founder.
Yeah.
Right? So you're out there watching. We love you.
He's always watching.
When you developed Catch in New York, did you have the goal to expand more catches, or were you just hyper focused, let's just do this one as good as possible, and then it evolved?
Yeah, I mean, it always sounds good to build something to grow. I think some of the mistakes that we may have made or other people make in front of us that we learn from what not to do as much as what to do is that you don't build to grow. You build to be successful with what you're trying to do, and then as you have the opportunity to grow, you build around it. In other words, you're not ballooning to an extra 10 employees before you have any reason to have the extra 10 employees to be on the next spot, right? Management, chefs, whatever. You have to stay lean. Your team has to be great. And you really have to have this point of view or soul of a restaurant that is specifically make this successful. It's hard enough to do that. If you can do that by some way of miracle, then you can certainly talk about what's next. But I don't remember ever thinking, let's do this so that we can do that. Actually, not at all. As a matter of fact, I think we were just let's pray to God that we can get this 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floor, 15,000 square foot behemoth of a restaurant called Catch 10 years ago to not go out of business very quickly because it's very expensive to operate that size of a restaurant. And, you're not necessarily proven ever in a restaurant just because you could have had a success in your last one and your new one could be a complete bust. People are not friendly like that. They don't do you a favor by the thousands of people. So yeah, I mean, there was a lot of strategy that we learned to hopefully help us be successful, which goes beyond food and service and vibe. It's more of also then you get into the nuances of how do we get the world to talk about our restaurant without forcing it, and what did we want to do to create sort of I always talk about what I feel our job was to kind of find the largest rock possible to throw as hard as we can into a giant lake and get the rings to go as far out as humanly possible. And that's sort of my own brain metaphor of understanding if I'm only catering to my immediate circle of friends and family and maybe their friends and that's it, I'm not going to stay in business for very long, and I'm not going to be busy on Sunday, Mondays, and Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I'm not going to be busy at 5:30 or 6 o'clock. I'll be busy Thursday, Friday, Saturday in the evenings. No good. So what do we do what is our rock, right? Like it's in some ways there was before Instagram, before really we used those tools of the Instagram moments or whatever people talk about so easily today. Then it was like, let's do interactive things. So we did understand that people were taking photos and they like to talk about, what they're doing with Facebook, for example, or maybe then it was like even just Snapchat and Facebook. I don't even think Instagram existed, but if we have these interactive desserts like a hit me cake or a beautiful entry like we do in LA or in Vegas,
which is one of like the most Instagrammed place I think in all of LA is that beautiful entry at Catch.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's officially like I think Instagram sent us a notice like congratulations. The second or most Instagram tagged place in California or in the country or something like that.
Incredible.
But when you can do that plus deliver on all the other things, plus there's a tremendous amount that goes into curating the room and doing all that stuff that just makes people go and tell our story for us without knowing. I don't know who your friend from college that came in for a birthday of yours and then was going to tell everyone back in Michigan or in California or in wherever, Florida, like the amount of people that come now to New York or LA and say, we must go to Catch because I've been seeing it on the internet or seeing it and reading about it for the last 5 years. That's sort of part of the momentum of like how you can have two giant restaurants down the block from each other and still both be full, or even just fill one restaurant with, 2.5 turns at 800 people, 900 people a day, every day.
Wow.
For 5 years or in LA or 10 years in New York. That is a huge challenge. I don't recommend it. Anytime people ask, sure, I want to go in the restaurant, can you tell me about why I should do that? I can tell you why not to do it. Much easier than I can tell you why to do it. It's crazy. It's a crazy business. And very difficult.
Thank you for watching Studio 22.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
And follow our socials at Studio 22 Podcast.